Hello, I'm Food Daniel. Here are my predictions for Week 5 of the WFA season, games to be played on April 29th. First, a few notes about a couple key games from last week. Okay, of course, what can you say about Boston Renegades beating the DC Divas in overtime 26-22? What can you say? That's what you want to see. Good close game between two of the top teams. Hell yeah. Cleveland Fusion beat the Columbus Comets 19-9. I knew that game would be close. A game I did not know was going to be close. Miami Fury beat the Jacksonville Dixie Blues 18-14. I predicted Miami to win, but I thought it was going to be a much easier victory than that. Well done, Jacksonville. They hung in there. A game I forgot to predict, thanks to Michael Burmy for mentioning that to me. The Austin Outlaws beat the Houston Power 21-20. Wow. I wouldn't have known who to predict anyway, but hell yeah, what can you say? 1 point game at a backyard brawl? Great stuff. Okay, and there was a second overtime game that didn't get quite as much attention as Boston and DC because it's a Tier 3 matchup. The Rocky Mountain Thundercats beat the visiting Utah Blitz 14-6 in overtime. I love my Utah Blitz. It's a shame they couldn't pull it out, but I was expecting it to be a bit more lopsided than that. I was thinking it was going to be something like 30-6. So, I'm proud of my Blitz for keeping it that close, and I'm encouraged because they play each other again later in the season in Salt Lake City. Good stuff. And a game I could have attended but chose not to because I went to a game in Sacramento. The Central Cal War Angels beat the Pacific Warriors 28-19. It was a hell of a lot closer than the game in Sacramento that I went to. That'll teach me. Okay, so here we go. Games to be played on April 29th. Philadelphia Phantoms at the Pittsburgh Passion. Passion will win this game. New York Sharks, the Baltimore Nighthawks. Sharks will win this game. Montreal Blitz, the Boston Renegades. This is going to be interesting. I believe this is the first time that they've met each other since they were both in the IWFL, which would be in 2010. Is that right? They haven't played each other since then? I'm not sure, but I think so. I expect Boston to win. But Montreal, they'll get on the board. Maine Mayhem at the Connecticut Hawks. I like the Mayhem. And I expect them to win. New England Nightmare at the Hampton Roads Lady Gators. I think that's going to be a close, low-scoring game. I think the Lady Gators will win that one. I think it'll be real close. I can see that being, 1 touchdown or less. Keystone Assault at the Richmond Black Widows. This is another one that's hard to predict. But I'm feeling good about the Black Widows. I think the Black Widows will win it. Detroit Dark Angels at the Toledo Reign. I expect the Reign to win. I don't think it'll be by too much. I think it'll be fairly close. And for that matter, I think the Assault Black Widows game will also be fairly close. Flint City Riveters, the Cincinnati Sizzle. I expect the Sizzle to win this one pretty decisively. Now, last week, I said that I expect Chicago to blow everybody else out of the water and win the Tier 1 championship, and St. Louis to do the same and win the Tier 2 championship. But I didn't make a prediction for Tier 3. That's because I'm not sure who's tops in Tier 3, and there's some suspense. There's some intrigue, which is what you want. So Tier 3 was where the excitement is this year. But it is starting to take shape, and I think Cincinnati is a top contender for the Tier 3 title. I'll go ahead and put a marker down now. They've played 3 games, and they've won all 3. But I'll go ahead and predict they're going to win the next 5 as well. They're going to finish 8-0. Now, will they win the Tier 3 title? I don't know. But they're certainly one of the top contenders for it. Yes, indeed. The Cincinnati Sizzle. I do believe this is the best season they've ever had. Okay, Chicago Force to DC Divas. Well, in the past couple seasons, this would have been a very, very exciting game. And it'd be very difficult to predict. But not this year. I expect Chicago to win. It won't be gruesome, but I don't think it'll be a squeaker either. Incidentally, I did see that news story posted on Facebook about this likely being the Force's last season. That is a goddamn shame, if that's true. Now, I certainly hope somebody on the Force team can do what happened with Boston and Las Vegas and reform the team under a different name. But I imagine if that was going to happen, it'd probably be the process would be underway by now. As a fan, I know how sucky that must be for the Force fans, because here I am living in the only major metro area in America that does not have a women's football team. Well, now Chicago's about to join us. It is a damn shame. But they are going to go out on top, which is how you do it. What do they say? Bolo. Best one, last one. Yeah, they're going to do it. I don't believe in Team of Destiny. I stopped believing in it during the 2001 World Series. And I really don't particularly like the idea of Team of Destiny either. I was happy with the outcome of the 2001 World Series. But if this Chicago Force team of 2017 is a Team of Destiny, it's only in an incidental sense, because last season or not last season, they're going to win Tier 1. They'll be the champs. So if it is going to end, this is the way to do it. And as a fan, I find a silver lining in finding out what happens from there. I mean, I can't imagine, there are a couple teams that are at least kind of sort of close to Chicago, and I can't imagine, everybody on the team is going to say, okay, we're done, I'm not playing anymore. I can imagine some of them might drift to some of the neighboring teams and see what happens. And I think that'd be real fun to see what happens. Imagine, a top player on the Force, going to one of the lesser teams nearby. Will they still be a top player and elevate that lesser team? Or will the lesser team's lesser status, bring down that star player to a more unremarkable level? I think that'd be fascinating to see. Not as satisfying as having a team in Chicago. It just doesn't feel right. A nationwide sports league without a team in Chicago, it's every bit as distasteful as a nationwide sports league not having a team here in the Bay Area. Okay, if you're still awake, here we go. Continuing on. Indy crashed the Columbus Comets. I expect the Comets to win. Yeah, the Comets, they've had some tough opponents in the crash. They're not untough, but the Comets will get this win, yeah. Tennessee Train at the Huntsville Tigers. The Tigers have already beat the Train. I think it was 40-6 earlier this year, so expect the Tigers to win. Music City Misfits, the Derby City Dynamite. This one could be interesting. Let me take a look at what the Dynamite and the Misfits have done this year. Dynamite, where are you? There you are. Okay, the Dynamite blown out by Atlanta, blown out by Columbus. They lost 50-34 last week against Cincinnati Sizzle, and I understand there was all sorts of brawling going on. Derby City's one win was against the Tennessee Train, 20-0. As for the Music City Misfits, let's see, they beat the Huntsville Tigers 26-0, lost to Cincinnati 36-8, and beat a USWFL opponent 36-14. Hard to say what's going to happen. No prediction, I'm afraid. No, hell, I'll take that back. It's week 5, for Christ's sake. It's time to stop saying no prediction. We're halfway through the season. I'll say Derby City will win, simply because I think they're going to be in a ferocious mood after last week. Could be wrong, but yeah, I'll predict Derby City. Solely for fire-breathing fury. Okay, Jacksonville Dixie Blues to Carolina Phoenix. I expect Carolina to win that game. But I am impressed that the Dixie Blues did as well as they did against Miami last week. But no, Carolina will win this. Sorry, I had to change cameras. Miami Fury at the Daytona Wave Runners. Miami will win this game. You know, Miami is one of the 2 top teams in the state of Florida. They'll win this game. North Florida Pumas, the Atlanta Phoenix. Gruesome win for Atlanta. I do feel bad for the brand new North Florida Pumas. I mean, 4 of their games on their schedule against Tier 1 teams. I'm not going to fault the schedule makers because I know making a schedule is hard, especially with this many teams. But talking about being thrown into the deep end. Hang in there, Pumas. Kansas City Titans at the Minnesota Vixen. This will be interesting. Despite getting beat pretty convincingly by the St. Louis Slam last week, you know, the Titans, I think they're good enough that I think they're going to win this game. I could be mistaken, though. I think it'll be a close game, too. I'm going to say it'll be by a single-digit number of points. I think Kansas City will win. Houston Power at the Dallas Elite. Gruesome win for Dallas. Arlington Impact at the Acadiana Zydeco. The Impact will win this one. Yes. Arkansas Wildcats, the Austin Outlaws. I expect this one to be close too. Because that's how the Outlaws do it. They're coming off of back-to-back games where they win by less than a touchdown. They seem to have the wind at their backs. Best season they've had in quite a while. Of course, this might also be the best season the Arkansas Wildcats have ever had there. How are the Arkansas Wildcats doing now? Now I'm curious. Arkansas Wildcats. Cats that are wild. Okay, they beat the Zydeco 39-12, lost to the Impact 30-14, then beat the Huntsville Tigers 12-0. Okay. Let's see, who they got in this game? Austin and Arlington, Huntsville, Houston, Acadiana. This could be the Wildcats' best season ever. But I expect Austin will win this game, and it'll be close. Close. Maybe by 1 touchdown or less. To the Northwest, Portland Shockwave at the Tacoma Trauma. Portland will win this game. Yeah, Tacoma's not having a very easy time of it this year. Hang in there, ladies. Southern Oregon Lady Renegades to Seattle Majestics. Seattle will win this game, and probably by more than the 8 or 9 points they won it by in the first game. Mile High Blaze at my Utah Blitz. Okay, Mile High Blaze are a Tier 2 team, and they're doing quite well, so I hate to say it, but Mile High Blaze will win this game. Surprise me, Utah. Hang in there. Put some points on the board, yes. Utah Wildcats at the Santa Fe Dukes. Okay, well, the Wildcats' first and so far only game against the Sin City Trojans didn't go very well. It was over at the end of the first quarter because the Wildcats ran out of players. I hope they have the roster to play this game. I certainly hope they do. I want the Wildcats to do well. For those of you not familiar, the Wildcats are a splinter off of the Utah Blitz, but they're on very, very friendly terms with the Utah Blitz, and they play a full hour north of where the Blitz play. So, yeah, I want to see the Wildcats do well, and I hope this game happens because Wildcats versus the Dukes, it could be interesting. I would expect the Santa Fe Dukes to win simply because the Dukes, have a much bigger roster and they'll be able to rest between plays. Yeah. Oh, and it just occurs to me, the Wildcats and the Dukes are both looking for their first ever win, so somebody's going to get their first ever win. So, okay. And here's why I think the marquee matchup of the week is here. Central Cal War Angels, the San Diego Surge. That's in San Diego. I can't attend that game, but I will be at the rematch in Fresno later this year. I'm going to predict San Diego to win that game. But boy, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Always fun when those two teams match up. And I've seen it go either way. I've seen the Surge beat the War Angels. I've seen the War Angels beat the Surge. That is going to be fun. That's going to be great stuff. That's your marquee game of the week. Oh, incidentally, I won't be attending any game at all this week because I have some band-related stuff I need to do. Which is just as well because there's not too much nearby anyway. Okay, we have two games here that are probably going to be pretty gruesome. Sin City Trojans at the Kern County Crusaders. Gruesome win for Sin City. And the Ventura Wolfpack at the Pacific Warriors. Gruesome win for the Pacific Warriors. Hey, Kern County and Ventura, don't be discouraged. You hang in there. And the last game, this one will be fun and interesting. The Rocky Mountain Thundercats at La Muerta de las Cruces. This is the first ever home game in the history of La Muerta de las Cruces. So far they played only one game, a road game against the Utah Blitz, and they won that game, La Muerta de las Cruces. Got their first win, their first ever game. And now, after 3 weeks off, here they are for their first ever home game against the Rocky Mountain Thundercats team. Now, La Muerta, they beat the Utah Blitz 14-0. And the Thundercats last week, they beat the Blitz in overtime 14-6. So, using that very imperfect metric, this should be a fairly even game. I expect it will be a fairly even game. I think this game will be decided by 2 touchdowns or less. And I'm going to predict that La Muerta de las Cruces will win. It'll be a good, fun game. And it'll be very interesting. The first WFA game. In fact, the first women's football game ever played in the city of Las Cruces. A town of about 100,000 people, very close to the Mexican border. Do me a favor, staff photographer for La Muerta de las Cruces, please get some photos of the crowd. I'm very curious to see how many people show up. That's going to be fun. And that completes my predictions for Week 5 of the WFA season. Games to be played on April 29th. Thank you.